Hey, we all know that these bastards, they all cover for themselves. Bryan Brannen, deputy sheriff over here in Cobb County, Georgia, he's dirty as hell. Lies about everything, gets frustrated, bashes a guy's skull in, gets a day off from work, trying to figure that one out. You go ahead out there on that street and you bash someone's skull and fracture his skull and see how much time you get off in a jail cell. But here we have a bunch of his buddies covering up for him. This is the internal affairs investigation of the dumbass. He's dirty, and Randy Crader over there at the public director's office is using him. He's using them to intimidate and scare people to enforce his will, not the law. Not the law, people. These people don't know the law. These people don't know the Constitution. They spit on it. This is some interesting stuff coming up. Keep your eyes glued.
Today is Tuesday, March 27th, 2018 at 13:57 hours. Investigator Pruitt, Lieutenant Huval in the Internal Affairs interview room with Deputy Austin Chadwick in reference to Internal Affairs case 18-25480. Deputy Chadwick, those your initials and signature on your administrative inquiry form?
Yes, sir.
Have you read and understood the form?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about the form?
No, sir.
Okay, I will advise you from this point forward, don't discuss this interview or an investigation with anyone outside of internal affairs, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Before we went on tape, do you know the subject matter of the interview? You do recall a use of force incident with you, Sergeant Brannen, and Deputy Gibney?
Yes, sir.
And it involved the inmate Ellis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just explain to me your involvement and how you became involved.
I was in the RPOD office. There was an inmate that was refusing to go back to his dorm in RPOD, so Sergeant Brannen said he'd take care of it. Detention specialist Arambula called me on the phone in the RPOD office and said Sarge needs help. So I leave the office, close the door, go to the horseshoe, and Sergeant Brannen's standing there with Ellis. Ellis's left arm is gripped onto Sergeant Brannen's shirt and right arm, and Sergeant Brannen has Ellis's jumpsuit with his right hand, and I think he had Ellis's wrist with his left hand. I grabbed Ellis's left arm. Initially, I locked my arms around it to try and get him to let go of Brannen's sleeve. He had it tensed, and so I started to peel his hand away, and at that point, that's when Sergeant Brannen grabbed him and started to throw him to the ground. And I'm either going with him or getting drugged down. So we take him to the ground. Once he's on the ground, I get him off of Brannen's sleeve, and I get that arm. And I have his left arm at that point. The guy's laying on his side, right side. Sergeant Brannen hits him 3 or 4 times. And then we called the nurses at that point. We were able to get him cuffed. Deputy Gibney came in and we cuffed him at that point.
Okay. And that's all you're part of it?
Yes.
Okay, how long have you been working in RPOD?
I haven't.
What was you in RPOD for?
To ask him a question about, he used to be a disciplinary officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there to ask him about Daryl Clark's hearing, because I had just watched a video in the watch commander's office, and he had stopped by the watch commander's office earlier and said, hey, if you have any questions, I'll be in RPOD.
Okay. Is he the sergeant over RPOD?
He's the sergeant over RPOD, so I think he was doing lunch relief.
Okay, so the regular deputy was on lunch relief. Okay. And do you know inmate Ellis?
No.
Don't know him?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how big is he? What's his age? How size of?
He's probably my size-ish.
Mm-hmm.
50s.
50s. Okay. So Arambula called the office and just said,
Sergeant needs help.
That's all he said?
That's what he said.
What did he initially call back there? Were you there for that phone call?
No.
Like when he called up there and told whoever was in the office that the inmate wouldn't go back in?
Oh, I think he just said this guy's refusing to go back to his room, or back to his dorm. I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he was on the yard, or if he was seeing mental health, or I just know Randy said he's not going back to his room.
Oh, you were in there for the phone call?
Yes.
Okay. So he goes up there, then the next phone call is Arambula calling
Me, saying Sarge needs help.
what is that all he said?
That's all he said. Sarge needs help.
Okay. And I know you described what you seen when you arrived. Was the inmate, I know you explained some resisting or holding shirts, but was he pushing or pulling Sergeant Brannen? They were just standing there holding each other pretty much?
Yes.
That's it? And then you came up and and then the inmate was taken to the ground?
Yes. Well, I grabbed his arm. The inmate asked Sergeant Brannen, he said, "Who are you?" to Sergeant Brannen. I can't remember if Brannen said anything or not. But I grabbed his arm, like went to lock my hands around it like that to try and peel his arm away, and he had it tensed. I couldn't get it peeled away. So I went to peel his hands away, and that's when Brannen decided to take him to the ground.
Okay. Was he giving him verbal commands when you came up? Was he saying anything to him?
He said, "You need to return to your room."
That's all he said? He didn't say let go or stop?
Don't
resisting?
remember. I don't remember.
So pretty much when you got to the scene, it was Sergeant Brannen had a hold of the inmate's clothes and he had a hold of Sergeant Brannen's clothes?
Yes.
And they were just standing there?
Yes.
All right. You got there, the decision bus, they took the inmate to the ground. And when he went down to the ground, he landed on?
His right side.
So he was laying on his right arm?
Yes.
And left arm, where was his left arm?
I had his left arm.
You had his left arm?
That's the one I was trying to peel away, and once he got to the ground, I was able to get control of his left arm.
Okay. So he's on the ground, you have his left arm, where's his right arm?
I don't know. It could be under him, I couldn't tell.
Okay.
Sergeant Brannen was kind of leaning over him like that, so I couldn't see.
Okay. So he was still laying on his side, you had the left arm
Yes.
trying to get it behind his back?
Yes.
Was there verbal commands or anything going on at this time?
I don't know.
Don't know?
I didn't say anything other than give me your arm, but I said that once, and I don't know if Brannen said anything at all.
Okay. So he's laying on his right arm, are you on the front side or you're on the behind?
I'm on the back side.
Your back side, Sergeant Brannen's on the front. Okay. You had his left arm, the right arm you don't know. Is the inmate trying to swing or pull like he's trying to swing at Sergeant
I
Brannen?
don't think so.
No? Did you see if he had a hold of any of Sergeant Brannen's clothes?
It wasn't with his left arm, I can tell you that, because I had his left arm at that point.
Okay. And at that point, the strikes were issued on the ground?
Yes.
How many?
3 to 4.
3 to 4 were at?
To the face.
3 to 4 strikes, closed fist?
As far as I know. I couldn't see Brannen's actual strikes. I could see his shoulder moving as he was striking.
Okay.
But it had to be closed fist.
Okay. Was Sergeant Brannen saying anything to the inmate when he was hitting him?
I don't think
Cussing, anything like that?
I don't remember. I don't know.
And what were you doing while the strikes were you just still holding the left arm?
That's when I had his left arm, yes, sir.
Okay. So he 3 to 4 times after the strikes. What happened after he was hit in the face?
That was when Gibney came up, and I got his left arm pulled back. We were able to get his right hand pulled back, and we cuffed him. And then that was when Sergeant Brannen radioed for nursing staff.
Okay. So after the strikes, Gibney's there. Did the inmate go face down then?
Yes.
So you still had his left arm, did the right arm come back?
Yes. I don't remember who put the right arm in cuffs. I think it was actually me, because he brushed blood onto me.
Okay. So then he was handcuffed?
Yes.
Once Gibney arrived. Okay. And that's the only blows that were given?
Yes, sir.
By Sergeant Brannen, during this, from your training and experience, did the inmate try to hit Sergeant Brannen?
I don't think so.
Did he try to hit you?
No.
Was he nothing other than it was just a standoff pretty much? You guys had him subdued?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When he called medical, what did Sergeant Brannen say, or what was his comments after the inmate was secured and he called medical? What did he tell you and give me?
He told us to wash the blood off. I don't remember him saying anything else than that.
Anything about writing reports or?
Write a statement, email him a statement. I emailed my statement directly to him.
What was his mood after he got done with this? Was he irritated, mad, or was it, I mean, what's?
Exasperated, maybe? I don't know that you could say he was mad, but he seemed frustrated.
Frustrated. Have you worked for Sergeant Brannen in a long time? No.
I don't think I've ever worked under him as a sergeant.
And this is the first time you've seen this inmate?
Yes.
Okay. Did a Rambula say anything to you after the incident? Okay. What kind of damage did the strikes do that you saw? From just visual, what?
He had blood all over him.
On his face?
And then I know there was something on the back of his head too.
Okay. So you never seen a strike from the inmate or any attempt to push you guys away, or it just kind of holding on to clothes and standoff? Was he cussing Sergeant Brannen, or what was he saying back to
Not when I got there.
Nothing? And Sergeant Brannen wasn't saying anything to him? Or
He was saying, he said return to your dorm.
dorm to him? Okay.
Did the inmate seem confused? You said he asked Sergeant.
He asked Sergeant Brannen who he was. I don't know if that meant, yeah, it seemed confused.
Was he, so he's holding on and he's clenched on Sergeant Brannen's sleeve. And Sergeant Brannen's clenched on his other arm, his opposite arm.
I'm pretty sure
He's
Sergeant
asking
Brannen.
who he is.
Yes.
Is that, is our pod still an area where they tend to house mental health
It's,
inmates?
right now it's the infirmary extension, so yes.
Okay, so in fact, it's all mental health patients if it's an infirmary?
As far as I know, I don't know that there's any medical down there. I think it's all,
Did, in your years of experience working in a jail, did this inmate appear just at first sight as someone who may suffer from a mental illness?
no.
No? Okay. So what about his comment of, "Who are you?"
It was weird.
Okay, so it struck you as odd.
Yes.
When you saw the blows that Sergeant Brannen was giving, were you surprised at those?
Yes.
Okay. And why were you surprised? In
I didn't.
In your head, what did it?
In my mind, I don't know that it warranted strikes.
Okay. From where you could see.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did not observe any. Was it active resistance? Would you call it passive resistance? Was there any resistance at all?
There was resistance because when I went to try to pull his arm down, he wouldn't give me his arm. He wouldn't let go of Brannen. But he wasn't trying to yank Brannen around. He wasn't trying to hit him, as far as I could tell.
So actively holding on, but other than that, not combative?
I wouldn't call it combative, no.
Okay. All right. And then at the time, use that marker there and draw on the board, draw the tower. It's like an octagon, I think, or
Like
something. From it, yeah, aerial.
Aerial?
Yeah.
All right, so
That work. Okay. And then where is the sally port door coming from the office?
the sally port door is going to be right about here because it's a little off center.
Okay. And where was the site of the incident?
Right about here.
Okay. And the tower door?
The tower door is probably right here.
Okay. And when an inmate is talking to the person in the tower, do they often do it at the door to the tower, through the food trap?
It'll be either through the food trap or through one of the speakers if they're near a door.
Okay. Do you know if Rambla was trying to give this guy instructions to go back to
I
where?
don't know. I would assume so because that's how Sergeant Brannen, or he told Sergeant Brannen to.
Yeah. So when Sergeant Brannen left to handle it, he picks up from Rambla in the office, right?
Yes,
And it's on speakerphone, I assume?
I think so.
Did you hear Rambla talk?
Yes.
Okay, so likely on speakerphone. And then Brannen says what at that point?
I'll take care of it. You wait here, or
Okay.
something like that.
All
Something
right.
to that effect.
Do you remember if Arambula gave the inmate's name at the time? So-and-so won't go back, or he just said someone?
This inmate won't go back, I think is what he said.
All right.
Something like that. I don't remember ever hearing his name.
Okay. And then Brannen leaves and you stay in the office. Where were you in the office?
Sitting at the chair at the computer.
So at the deputy's chair behind the computer screen?
Yes.
Okay. So could you see, or did you attempt to watch Brannen?
No, because right here, there's a big giant concrete pillar.
Okay.
And then the windows start over here again.
Okay.
So when I showed up, I couldn't even see Sergeant Brannen when Arambula called me. So I walk through this door and I see them clenched up right here.
And they're standing up. Which way is the inmate facing?
The inmate is facing out this way and Sergeant Brannen's like that.
Okay. And do you know what dorm he was supposed to be going back to?
I don't. I couldn't even make an educated guess.
Okay. So they're holding on to each other. So it's the inmate's left hand,
Yes.
you said, that was holding.
Yep, and that's the one that I immediately went to because that's the one that had Brandon's sleeve.
Okay. So you didn't have to go around him or anything. So you're on that side. And then Brannen takes him down.
This is Brandon.
Okay. Brannen takes him down and you say he goes on his side. Draw a line where the inmate was laying.
Like this.
Okay.
His head would have been up here.
His head was facing that column you just drew? Or was it facing the tower?
His head was facing outwards.
Okay. And you still have his left arm.
Yes.
And then Sergeant Brannen is where?
Sergeant Brandon's right here over his head, and then I'm right here with his left arm right here.
So his left arm, is it behind his back this way when you have it?
I have it in, I don't know what to call it. Like when you have a wrist lock like that, I have it right pinned against his side against my chest.
So you were down on the ground with
Yeah,
it?
so I'm leaning like this.
Okay, so you're behind the inmate,
Mhm.
holding his arm, presumably behind his back. Is that accurate? It's pinned up against his back?
Probably on the side more so.
Okay. So on his
And
side,
on his side.
that's up?
Yes.
Okay. And then Sergeant Brannen, you can see Sergeant Brannen's back
Yes.
then. And he's over the head of the inmate. Is Brannen left or right-handed?
I don't know.
You recall? Do you remember which hand he struck the inmate with?
Left.
So he's laying on his right
Because I
side?
could see his left shoulder moving.
Okay. All right.
And I would have seen him hitting with his right hand, because his right hand was next to me.
Okay. And you don't recall any verbal commands prior to or during the strikes?
No.
Okay. And prior to the takedown, do you recall him saying anything other than?
Go back to your room, I don't remember. And possibly let go of me, but I couldn't say that for sure.
Okay. Because that's not typical to have an inmate grabbing on to a deputy and then letting that happen, right? So
Right.
did that strike you as odd when you entered the cell
Yes.
court?
Because typically I would expect them to either already be fighting or already be on the ground.
To quickly, fair to say, to quickly disengage from being held by
Yes.
an inmate? Okay. All right. In conversations after the incident with Sergeant Brannen or anyone who responded were only send me a statement. There was nothing said about the use of force or the damage done to the inmate or anything like that?
No, I was about to leave that day, and Sergeant Brannen said that I think maybe Lieutenant Garrett told him that apparently at the hospital they said that he might have facial fractures.
Okay. And you heard that how?
Brannen told me.
Okay.
That was hours afterwards.
How was he when he told you that? What was his demeanor like?
It wasn't, I mean, he didn't seem overly concerned. I remember him specifically saying, "It's not gonna stop me from doing my job."
So you feel like with that statement,
I don't know if it was just him brushing it off or if that's just his way of dealing with things, but he didn't seem overly concerned.
okay. But there was never any direct conversation about the way he felt about the incident or his response to it or anything like that? Okay. Your report, you said you emailed your statement directly to him. OMS, I know it's finicky when you...
With the new
Yeah, but-
updates, you can put copy and paste from Word or other
Okay.
word processors.
All right, so it's a standard practice tell me if I'm wrong, is it a standard practice to go back and forth with a supervisor in a draft form of a report through email before submitting it to OMS?
Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty standard.
especially with statements.
Okay.
Because with a statement in OMS, once you submit it, it's saved.
You don't have,
There's no save as draft like it is with the body of the report.
when you sent your first draft to him, did it change?
No,
Much?
he said, so I sent it to him, and then he sent me a reply back saying I posted it exactly as, I can forward you the emails.
Okay.
But he said he posted it exactly as I wrote it.
Okay. Did you review the OMS afterwards?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna show you-
I came back in Friday to sign mine.
Okay. But when you signed it, did you read it and make sure it was what you submitted to him?
No, I didn't read it all the way through. I know I saw it had a typo.
And I don't know that anything is different. I just want to know that what's on there and you signed is what you wrote.
Yeah.
And did you post the statement or did he post it?
I think he posted it because I didn't put it in OMS.
Wow, let me see. So here in this thing, it has your name
Mhm.
on it. So how would he be able to post and have your information above?
I think because when it's a statement, when you put it in OMS,
You have to
just
select-
go next to the little box that has, like the little text box, and you just click on that and you paste it in there, and then it saves
Anyone
it
can
under
do
your
that?
name.
Okay, you don't have to be logged in to
No.
post to the statement.
The only time that happens is when you're writing the body of the report,
Mhm.
and like if you look at certain reports, sometimes you'll see that the supervisor,
Is the author.
SOID is the author. It's because they're the last one that edited it or saved it.
Okay, review this statement that's marked as yours and then just tell me if that, your memory serves you as what you submitted.
Yes, that's what I wrote.
All right, thank you. Gibney's involvement, to your recollection, is only just a happy handcuff. He came in after
Yeah,
the
he came in.
strikes. Do you recall if he was there during the actual strikes from
I
Sergeant
don't
Brennan?
think so.
Okay. And there aren't any cameras in our pod, right? Okay. Pruitt, do you have anything else?
Just to clarify, right before you went to the floor, Ellis's left hand had a hold of Sergeant Brannen's right sleeve.
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to break his hand free?
Not until we got to the ground.
Not until you got to the ground. Okay. So he still had a hold. So that would mean, did you see Ellis hit Sergeant Brannen
No.
in his jaw with his right fist during the struggle? Right before you went to the floor?
I definitely not while we were standing up. I don't know.
Did you read that in the report? I know.
No, I never read the report, but Brandon did say that the guy tried to hit him. I never saw it. I don't know that it didn't happen, but I certainly can't say that it did.
He said, tried to hit me.
I don't know if he said tried or if he said hit me. I don't know. But he said that when we were, I can't remember if this was after or right after, but he said that as he was going down, maybe his hand came up and hit him. But I don't know if that would have been intentional. The way Brandon worded that, it didn't sound like it would have been intentional. It sounded like as he was going to the ground, his hand swung up because he's going to the ground.
Okay.
So when y'all were both standing though, you never saw the inmate
No.
strike or attempt to strike,
No.
right? And you could have seen that.
Yes, I could have seen that.
Only part you lost visual is when you were on the ground and Brandon was laying in front of you.
Yes.
You wouldn't have been able to see what was between his chest and the inmate's head. But you were clear that he was striking based on the movement of the shoulder
Mm-hmm.
and elbow. Okay. And then the subsequent damage to the inmate's face.
Do you remember if Sergeant Brannen had any marks on his face, or he said, "Hey, he hit me right here," or
No,
any
I don't-
red marks?
I
Nothing
saw
like that.
no red marks, no.
And he didn't make a mention to you. He hit me, in my jaw.
No, he did, but when he went to the ground, he said that it could have been as he was falling, he hit him. But I never saw it. I couldn't.
How did the takedown go? How did he get him to go down?
Kind of like a hip toss, I guess. He started pushing him towards the tower and started to toss him like that. And I just had his arm and went with him as we fell to the ground. It was, I mean, a hip toss is the best I can say, but it wasn't a hip toss. It was just kind of a twist and.
Stand up. You're the inmate and I'm Brandon. Where did he have?
So I've got,
Okay. And then where did Brendan have hold on me?
I think Brandon had him right here by the
So
jumpsuit.
yeah, it is.
And then I think he had his fist like that.
Okay, so that if he tossed
And then he tossed him like that.
something like that. So if he, like he described, if he tossed him, then it's possible.
It's possible.
His hand would be in a position to strike
Yes.
him in the face. Okay.
You got anything else? No, we have. Nothing? Alright. Interview concluded at 14:24 hours. All right, man.
Remember, don't discuss this with anyone at the jail, not your supervisors, not anyone. So if anyone from Internal Affairs asks you about it, you, of course, can talk to them. That's the two of us, Investigator Blake, Ray, or Colonel Allen. Okay, that's it. That's Internal Affairs. If any supervisors ask, just remind them that Internal Affairs talked to me, so I can't even talk about it. All the reports are approved, so there shouldn't be any reason to discuss it anymore. Make sure you don't mess that up, okay? Because they won't hold you accountable for it. All right. You have any questions before you go?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, you know how to get a hold to us if you need to. If you think of anything else, let us know. Thanks, man. What I got?
Lieutenant, call Colonel Allen, please.
Oh, all right. 2018, 14:52 hours, back on tape with Deputy Chadwick. I advise you're still under your Garrity form from earlier, okay? You said had additional statement?
Yes.
Okay.
When Brandon told me what happened to him, or the hospital said that he may have facial fractures, he was, I think, initially surprised because he said they were rabbit punches. Those were his words, rabbit punches. And that's when he do it.
What's a rabbit punch to you?
Short, fast punch.
Okay. Is that something that we train for,
No.
or?
No.
Okay, so your experience with that word is just based on context clues, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was a move or something that was.
No, it's not something that I've ever trained in. It's just his word was rabbit punch, and his motion was rabbit punch, like
Okay.
a short punching motion.
Okay. And what were you gonna say? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
And then that's when he said, it won't stop me from doing my job. So I guess, surprised that that's what it was, but unconcerned overall.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Pruitt, you have anything?
When did he tell this to you?
This would have been afterwards when I said that he mentioned that the guy was at the hospital and that he might have facial fractures. I mean, this would have been a couple hours later.
Did you go seeking that information, or
No.
did he came to you?
I can't remember if we passed in the hallway or if I was passing by watch command as I was leaving. It was somewhere as I was leaving that day. I mean, it was between 3:30 and 4 o'clock.
Do you seem concerned, or do you seem like, hey,
Overall, I think probably unconcerned. I mean, he specifically said it won't stop me from doing my job.
Okay. Did he happen to mention why he threw the rabbit punches? No. Okay.
The damage sustained by the inmate,
He said at one point that the inmate had a hold of where his new tattoo was, but I don't know what part of what, because when he hit the ground, I had his left arm, so it could have been the left arm. I don't know where his new tattoo is.
when he said that, it was when he was striking him, the inmate, that's how you took it?
I think so,
Okay.
but I don't know if that was when initially he had the left arm.
Okay.
But I remember he said that he had the inmate had grabbed him where his new tattoo was and was squeezing.
Are you surprised by the amount of injuries based on what you
Yes.
observed? So the strikes you observed, you are surprised that the broken orbital
Very.
socket? Okay. What about you said he was bleeding from the back of his head. Do you know how that happened?
My best guess is that when we took him down, he hit the tower.
And
Hit
we
the back of
got
his
close
head
to
to the tower. We were, yeah, I mean, it was
Okay,
a foot or so from the tower, 2 feet.
all right.
Do you happen to know how fresh that tattoo was?
He just said it was new.
New?